right, here we go. Aloha, my name's Anna Covert, and I'm coming to you from my battleship here on the beautiful island of Oahu. This week on the Covert Code, the topic is the business of greenery, and I'm here with Lawrence Hanley, CEO and founder of Desk Plants. From a simple idea to a thriving company, Lawrence is here to share insights that any company can use to leverage the power of gift giving and really stand out in a crowded environment, with a direct result on boosting referrals and conversions while adding a little green to any space. This is a must-hear interview with one of my old friends. So welcome.
Hey, Anna, thanks for having me on.
So to get the party started, I know we had first met at Quancast. This was a pretty big jump from digital marketing. Tell us, like, how did this journey start and what got you into this concept that now is Desk Plants?
Yeah, well, it's been in business for 7 years now. So it's been a long, winding road. But pre-launch, basically, I was working, like you said, at Quantcast and before that, Criteo. So a couple ad tech businesses working with a lot of e-commerce models, and so I kind of got a rear or a backdoor view into how these businesses run. And I always knew that I wanted to start something for myself. So what I figured out was, one, how can I solve for a problem with an e-commerce business, and what is that problem? So I figured that out, and what I noticed, there was a lot of customization or personalization of people's desk environments. And again, this is all pre-pandemic. And I noticed a few, common products. And then from there, it was, okay, what's the product that I can get into that's going to have the least amount of competition? Because I'm coming at it from a bootstrap standpoint. And plants really have a much higher barrier of entry to start a business in that world because of the certifications you need from the USDA, state agriculture departments, different licensing you need to sell agriculture that's beyond agriculture. And then there's also the challenge of shipping a plant, right? You have to
Great.
have specialized packaging. So there was a lot of sort of barriers of entry that made it more attractive to me, because I felt like if I can solve those problems, then I'm not working in a commoditized product environment, and I can kind of set my own margins and create the business that I want to create. So that was kind of what was the thought behind landing on plants. And then once I did, I launched the business in 2018. Quantcast offered a reload package or severance at the time, and I took the severance because I felt at the time, this is my chance to start something and give it a shot. What's the worst that can happen? I fail and go back to work for another ad tech company. So
Right.
yeah, so I took the chance in 2018, and it started off just building the website and selling locally at farmers markets, and kind of snowballed from there into a business.
Wow. That's really cool. So I think one of the most exciting things that I got to see was this customization for a company, that they can really make this their own. Tell me about what kind of companies are using this right now, and what are some of the innovative ways you've seen companies use this as a gift giving strategy?
Yeah, yeah. So basically, the way that we work in promotional products, we work with what are called distributors, promotional products distributors. So they're essentially the middleman to the buyer that would then work for a company, like, I don't know, Amazon or LinkedIn, right? And they service them with their gift giving needs for different occasions. And so really, we see everything from end users being real estate agents to tech companies, small law firms, large accounting, firms in different cities. And so there's kind of anybody can use this. But what we see, as far as one, successful, and two, unique ways to do it, is when you're really trying to make an impression on somebody and you're investing in a promotional product, right? You're investing in your logo, your name, your reputation being visible in physical form. And of course, that comes in drinkware and pens, and there's a number of ways you can do it. But if somebody really wants to make an impression that's going to last, our products really stand out in that space because, one, plants are very uncommon as a branded item, and two, when you get a plant, it's like receiving flowers or chocolate from somebody. It's something that's like, it inspires like a smile, like a warm feeling inside of the person who's receiving it, and you're going to remember who sent that to you. There's going to be sort of a point in your mind, like, oh, this came from Anna. I remember that gift, and remember, I'm going to reach out to her, thank her for this, versus getting just like a Yeti that, yeah, Yeti's nice, but everybody has a branded Yeti these days. So
Yeah.
it's where we see this do really well is actually in real estate. It's kind of a unique niche. A lot of times when people get to closing, brokers will want to reach out to their clients and say, "Thank you for working with me." And they'll send on the front, "Welcome to your new home." Then on the back, we'll have their, their logo or their phone number, something like that. But I mean, it's just such an amazing housewarming gift that people can send. It's a plant. It's going to sit there. It's going to live for a long time. So, yeah, it's definitely a unique way to get a branded product in front of somebody.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what I was attracted to about it. Because again, we could put a logo on anything, snacks or, I mean, there's so many different items. But those things don't have a long shelf life. I mean, people enjoy the snacks, they eat them, but then they forget immediately who gave it to them. And just like, with how crowded our day-to-day lives are, I think that you're right. Like a plant in an office or in a home, it's there, it's got your logo there. Every time that they look at it and take care of it and feed and nurture it, there is your brand right there. And it's just a feel good reminder constantly of the commitment that that company had.
Yeah, and I always say this, it's nobody's gonna put a plant in a cupboard, right? So, it's not gonna stay out there. It's just gonna see. So, uh, you hit it right on the head there.
Yeah, and then so another way, so tell me, like, how are you marketing this product? I know we talked a little bit about print on demand, which is something that I've been recently getting into, like on the Covert Code, my book website. I was able to get Printify, and I was just blown away with how easy it was that I could just put my logo on all these different materials and made the site feel like I had a lot of inventory. So how which networks are you on, and how are you leveraging that?
Yeah, so beyond our sort of, our partner buyers, we're on Sendoso, Thanks, that's THNKS, Postal. We're on a number of those, Reach Desk, another one, platforms where people can go and either set up their own internal company store through them, or they can buy a one-off. And it's really great because those platforms are able to send us the order data through our Shopify API. And with that order, we get the variable data for the logo that's got to go on the pot. We get the variable data for a card that might need to be included, and then of course we get the order data, so the recipient's shipping information. We then go ahead and ship it, and as soon as we create that label, it goes right back into the Shopify API, and the recipient gets, or the person that ordered it gets the tracking right away. It's a really seamless, kind of very low friction process, especially with these print on demand platforms that we're on. Yeah, so I think that's probably print on demand. It's really a growing, like exploding sector right now because people are realizing you can put logos on more than just shirts. Kind of what you just said. Like,
Right.
there's so many different options out there, and depending upon how you want to invest your money into that item, for whatever purpose it is, it's great to see that there's so many options out there. And it's great to hear that you're working on Printify.
Yeah, it's been really cool. I ordered basically from no one's really bought anything from my store, but I've bought my own stuff, for my own for my own logo gear, for, Shwy materials and just for, to when I'm going somewhere. And so it's been super easy to use. So tell me, like, are you using laser printing?
So yeah,
Right up, yeah.
yeah, there's a couple different ways that we do our customization. We laser engrave primarily our pottery, and so it's basically just heating up or ablating the surface of the pot. You get like a nice tone on tone engraving, and it just looks really nice on the pottery. We also have a couple of pot lines that we can do UV printing on, even on the cylindrical pottery styles. And so that's something we don't sell a ton of them, but if somebody wanted to put color on, we can. We have the capability. And then on some of our flat products, like those new moss awards that we've been talking about, and then also we have a couple of cube shaped pots that have that flat surface. We can do UV printing or engraving on those as well.
Wow. So when someone wants to come, and work with you, they're picking a pot, they're picking a style, and then they're picking a plant? Or do you have certain plants that are like your bread and butter plants?
Well, look, we've taken we try to take the thought process out of plants, because one of the challenges I'd say when we go from consumers to B2B on the promo side, there all of a sudden is an education that's involved because we are a new product. And so one of the things that I realized we can do right away is be really picky on our plant selection. So we've chosen, probably, I think it's about 14 to 15 different SKUs of plants that people can choose from. And we don't go out of that because those are plants that are really easy to ship, just the way that they sort of naturally grow. And they're really easy to take care of. And somebody with the worst luck in the world with plants could keep it alive. So we've taken the challenge out of selecting the plants because everything we supply, we guarantee the plant life for up to I think 14 days after arrival, but also you don't have to like do anything to keep them alive. On the pottery side, we have 10 different SKUs on pottery. So the price is all driven by the pot style, and then you choose your plant that doesn't affect the price, and then we figure out what the customization is going to look like. And once we get approval on a proof, then we go to production, and then we can ship out.
Wow. So gonna a little segue a little bit, kind of based off of a LinkedIn post that you did the other day that I really thought was very clever. And it was about that size matters, right? And it was very playful. And just for the listeners, what it was, when you can tell us more about it, is that your plants are bigger than all the competition's plants. So, how did you come up with this concept, or, did you order everyone else's plants and you measuring them? How are you making sure that your plants are the tallest and biggest?
It comes down to our suppliers, and we've been in business now for 7 years. And before this, I had a brick and mortar. Before I got into promo, so we bought a ton of plants over the 7 years, and so when we kind of simplified the model a little bit, simplified the product selection, I knew who I needed to go to for the biggest, best plants, and the thing that I knew as a new player in promo, if I'm going to come in with a new product, it's gotta kick ass. It's gotta really stand out. It can't just be on the value of a new product line. So, I've worked with this one supplier in Florida for years. They always provide the biggest, most beautiful plants, and at the right price. So for me, it's just a matter of having done this for so long and identifying the suppliers that are going to be, perfect for what we need to deliver to our clients. And so that was a great example, that LinkedIn post, of that being a prime, reason for doing that. When we went head to head with essentially the same pot and same plant type, the larger, more beautiful option that we supplied won out the business. And so I keep going. Look, if you bring a product to market, it's got to be quality. And if you believe in its quality and it's something you'd give to your mom, then it's gonna speak for itself and do what you need to, which is win the business.
Yeah, I mean, and and surprised. Do you have any people doing this for internal team support? Because it makes me think. I did work with American Savings Bank here years ago, and we did a huge HR push because they had at the time, this was years ago, they had a high employee turnover ratio. So they got this new head of HR, and she was really really good, and she wanted to do an internal campaign to show employees that they mattered, right? That we cared about them, when we sent little individual post-it cards. And is anyone doing this for internal team members?
A ton. So I call them the HubSpot holidays, if you will, kind of like Hallmark holidays. And what I mean by that is you have everything. Employee Appreciation Day is this Friday. This is Employee Appreciation Week. You have Nurses Day in May. You have Administrative Assistance Day. I think that's in April. You have all these different, internal appreciation holidays that come up between now and basically Mother's Day, and it's almost like a second Q4 for us. That's how strong the use case is for internal gifting. And our pitch to that is, if you're going to invest in sending love to your team and showing your appreciation, which you should do if you have employees, whether you got 2 or 10,000, send them something that's going to stick. Don't send them something like an edible that they're going to forget about in a week. Send them something that's going to sit there and remind them, hey, we care about you. We sent you this gift to show you that appreciation. And that carries on, 3, 4, 5 months from now. We still care about you, and that plant's still there to remind you that.
Are there too many little insights that come with it or is this part of your marketing on how much oxygen, or, is it reducing stress? I mean, are there other reasons beyond the just it makes you feel good that businesses should be thinking about when giving a plant?
Yeah, so I mean, look, there are a ton of studies that you can pick out online. That NASA did a famous one in the 80s and 90s where they were trying to see what plants were best for filtering air for long-range space missions. And they found that a lot of what we carry, the snake plants, ZZ plants, Bella palms, they do actually have qualities of removing synthetic chemicals from the air. and basically purifying, that air. Now, is one plant on one desk going to massively, change the air quality in an office? Probably not, but there is also the mental side of it, and it is certainly a part of what we talk about when we're educating people on why plants are a great option. There's been numerous studies that show a reduction of stress within the work environment when people are surrounded by, natural tones, natural products. Because when you think about it, and think of your average high rise on an East Coast city, I mean, it is just full of grays and muted whites, and it's all artificial. And then you've got the screens blaring at you with all this offensive,
The news. Oh, want to
it's
stress yourself out, turn that on for a minute.
exactly. Yeah, it's too much. So having something that kind of breaks the shades of gray and the screens up with a natural green tone, like, yeah, it does reduce stress. And there are studies that have shown that it is true that it does that.
So how are companies using this to, everyone always wants to talk about data, right? Since we're both from data backgrounds, or I'm still in data, what metrics are you able to share with a company beyond that it's shipped? Are there any other feedback loops that's, part of this product, people sharing, or any companies that are using this as a way to create more engagement online with a trackable statistic, like how many shares there were, or is there any kind of plant data that we can talk
Yeah.
about?
So it's all depending upon the use case, right? It's kind of hard to quantify whether someone feels appreciated or not. Maybe you get an HR, that's usually internal. The use cases where we see a lot of feedback on are sort of the outbound initiatives, right? Whether it's new customer prospecting, you're throwing some budget at sending somebody a gift, or it's customer appreciation, trying to either grow an account or get repeat business for somebody. That we do get some feedback on, and we work with one. I can't name names, but we work with one medical. It's like a doctor's office software suite. And through a distributor, we do all their outbounds. They come back to us twice a month with a few hundred units ordered at a time. And what they do is they send us their pamphlets about the information on the software suite, and then we send the plant out directly to that potential buyer. And we've seen what they've said to us is they've got about a 75% meetings booked rate on those that receive that. So it's pretty high. And then the close rate on that, I think they give us a general close rate. I don't know about specifically plant affected meetings, but the close rate's around 20 to 25% is what I heard through their distributor. But the meetings booked, and that's really, our plants aren't there to close a deal. Our plants are there to turn heads.
That's amazing. I mean, I think we should talk about how we can use this for solar, because I mean, we all know that based off, the behavioral science and reciprocity, huge power. And if now I got a plant from you and it's sitting here, am I going to cancel my appointment? Probably not.
Mm,
Right? You
nope.
feel really bad about canceling an appointment when you've already gotten the gift in your hand.
Exactly. I just was listening to a podcast, My First Million. They were talking about the power of reciprocity, right? Where you do something slightly nice, they'll do something bigger in return. They feel like they have to, right? And I think a plant is a perfect way to kind of dive into that leverage point, because it's something small and sweet. It's not $1 million to do, but it's something, that they, like we've been speaking about, they're gonna remember. And even if they have to push the meeting, they're gonna make sure they run that meeting back.
You feel pretty darn bad about canceling. What is your reason for canceling? Well, oh, I don't know, want to know how much money I'm going to save. I want to keep buying money from the utility company forever. No, I mean, it's going to be a lot harder, I think. So let's talk to me about price points. Like, what do these plants cost? I know it's probably a range, but what is the range for listeners?
Yeah. So on the retail side, which I can share openly, basically we have products that'll get down to about $5 retail, all the way up to $65. And so we're playing in quality. Now we do have some of those lower budget options, which are great. Um, but we typically, our sweet spot is sort of that 16 to $40 range. These are functional products, right? They're going to get interaction. You got to care for them a little bit. They're going to be, pretty new and surprising in a way out of the box when the person receives it. So I do think the value translates really well in the product to what's actually invested on it. So Yeah, it's again 16 to 40 bucks, kind of that sweet spot. But we do have some lower budget options and some premium options as well.
Wow, that is really very exciting. So, for a company who wants to participate, do they have to be a certain size? Is there a minimum order? Can anyone just sign up?
Anyone can do it. So basically, we have no minimums, so it's one piece. We will, go through a proofing process to make sure that everything looks right, but we try to keep it as frictionless as possible. Our main clients are through promotional products distributors, but we do have some direct distribution that we can, look at. We just have different pricing for different segments. But ultimately, one piece and just a little bit of artwork, and we can make an order happen.
Wow. So tell me, how are you marketing your product beyond these third parties?
Yeah. So the great thing about this is in our space, paid ads don't really do it. The thing that probably costs the most is industry presence. So being at events, there's probably 3 or 4 events that we gotta do every spring. There's one in the summer, and there's a couple towards the end of the year that we invest our time and a little bit of, marketing budget towards. But realistically, it's about being loud, and so we have a really great email list. Our open rates are probably around 55 to 60%. Our click rates are, I don't know, I think they're around 15%, 15 to
Wow.
percent. Like they are very high, and we're really, really targeted with the different segments based upon interaction, what type of clients they have, and if the biggest thing for us is think of us as like a sales support organization in a lot of ways. We provide a lot of collateral on the marketing side, so flyers, mock-ups. We'll do samples for people, and if we are seen as somebody that is extremely responsive, we have a lot of value in the services that we offer in the pre-sales process. Then those partners are going to show us more, right? Because they can trust us to step up to the plate when they need us to. Because ultimately, what they're doing is they're showing their clients 3 or 4 different products. And sometimes the early bird gets the worm on that. Is if you're getting samples in hands early and you're getting feedback on where the client needs to be on price, you're going to find your way into a lot of those wins. So for us, it's staying relevant, staying loud, and being seen. And a lot of that is just organic generation of content through many different forms of media. And so that's what we do pretty much every single day.
It's really cool. Would there be a way, I guess, for a client to use this as a rebate, like so someone could go and like redeem, use a code. So let's say someone does sit for an appointment and we want to give them a gift of a plant. They could go and put a code in and it could ship automatically without.
Yeah. So yeah, you
Yeah.
set up redemption programs all the time. So the way that would work is that client, let's say they're setting 100 meetings over the next 3 months, and they want to gift everybody who participates something. They buy 100 up front. We keep it on hand, no warehousing fees, and we can set up a a landing page where that's sort of private to them, wouldn't be exposed on our site, and then they can send that link out to the client after the meeting has happened. Client fills out their address, or they could do it themselves, and then once we see that submission of that recipient's data, then we just ship it out because we've got all the stuff pre-engraved because it's already been prearranged. We're just waiting on the information on where it needs to ship. So we try again frictionless. We try to keep it.
Wow. Well, that's a big deal then, not having any warehouse fees, because I know that others, we won't name any names, they do have pretty high fees for, holding, even just to participate in the platform can be a significant investment with some companies.
For sure. And look, it just depends on the business model, right? And for us, we don't have a ton of private equity investment, and we're chasing after a bottom line. It's important to us, but for us, it's better to have the experience be easy for the customer. And we take care of our costs, but we wrap it into the product cost so that it's all simple. There's no hidden cost behind what we're offering, and there's no surprise fees. We just baked it into what the product costs, and that covers us for what we need. And that way we just get higher volume. It's easier to make the sale, and we don't worry about nickeling and diming.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. So tell us, for anyone who's looking to start or grow a business, what's one piece of advice you give them based off your journey?
Just well, if you feel like your product or service does have a market fit and you've at least proven it to yourself, there's nothing stopping you from starting. It doesn't mean quit your job and jump into it on Monday, but if you're really serious about it, don't wait because there's never going to be a perfect time to do it. Just do it and figure it out. And don't be afraid to screw up along the way. The best lessons that I've learned in running my business have been colossal mistakes that I've made along the way. I don't want to again, okay, that's something that you want to learn from once, but it's okay to kind of fall on your face a little bit in the beginning, as long as you have the resilience to kind of pick yourself back up and move along and learn lessons along the way. My advice: just do it and be smart about it, but don't hesitate. Don't wait for that perfect moment.
I like that. Yeah, it's the universe telling you to do it. Everyone else is doing it. Why shouldn't you? Right.
Exactly.
So I guess my last question is, what excites you most about the future for desk plants, and where do you see the business headed next?
Yeah. So I'm really excited about the kind of growth of our product mix, right? So until this year, we've been just potted plants and the occasional sort of variation here and there. But we've gotten into new products. So we're getting into the award space with our new Moss Awards, which is essentially a piece of beechwood that we CNC out, a little partition. We're putting preserved moss in there. So that's one example of new products we're getting into. We're working with some desk accessories as well. Our mission has kind of evolved and grown. The vision's grown a little bit bigger, and we're trying to create a supply business within the promo space where one can come to us to quote unquote own the desk, meaning all the products we bring to market are going to have some sort of functionality associated with them, and they're going to be excellent desk items, desk accessories, and they're not going to get lost in the clutter, go in a drawer, go in a cupboard, what have you. They're going to be something that brings the logo to the desk, that gets you access to arguably the most valuable real estate of any office, and then they're going to stay there. So I'm pretty excited to develop that, keep building that out, and keep growing our product offerings.
Wow, pun intended, right?
Exactly.
Well, thanks so much for being here. To learn more about Dust Plants, you can visit dustplants.com and connect with Lawrence on LinkedIn. So thanks for being here today. And please join me next week as I interview another industry expert in a topic to help you succeed on and offline. I'll see you in the pixels. Aloha.